Welcome back to the Boys Club with Danny and Natan, where we have no lines.
We have no lines, but it seems like this is the line. We have no lines, but we do have a Gmail, boysclub@gmail.com, or on our Facebook, BOIYZ or Z Club. Get in touch with us.
It's been 3 weeks, and we are going to hit over 1,000 listeners this week.
Amazing.
That is huge.
Amazing. Kol hakavod.
Over 1,000 listeners. All right, I think we couldn't have asked for a better start, and we're really getting a lot of good feedback from you guys, positive and negative feedback. We enjoy the constructive feedback. We don't like the swearing, but we like, no, I'm joking. No one's been swearing, but we definitely like the negative constructive criticism, and that's the way that we're looking at it. We do want to talk about one thing specifically, and Natan's going to open that up.
So, there are no lines here, but what I want to say is like this. Everybody knows that we are right now in uncharted territories. We have no lines. That is the point. We are here to talk about the things that are not being spoken about. That's why you're listening, right? Otherwise, you could be listening to someone else's podcast about Judaism and relationships and sexuality. So what I want to say is like this. We have no lines. Things aren't planned over here. We are two religious men. One happens to be a rabbi who are bringing up these topics so that we can bring some light into this conversation, create communication between you and your husband, your wife, your rabbi, your community, your girlfriend and boyfriend, whatever it is. That's what we're here for. If someone wants a halachic psak, a halachic decision, you can come and email me or call me or whatever, and if you think I'm the guy and I think I'm the guy to give that halachic psak, I'll do it. If not, then I'm happy to give you somebody else. But we're talking in very general terms over here.
Yeah.
And the reason we're talking in general terms is so that the most amount of people as possible are touched and can have an opinion, start talking about these things around your Shabbos table, right. Not with your kids. Well, maybe, well, I don't know, whatever, depends on the subject.
However you are.
But the point is, we are here to create communication, open up lines of communication.
We're trying to help. We're trying to help as many people as we can. People that can't necessarily, or that don't necessarily have the avenues to reach out for help, or be able to ask, or be able to seek support from the people that they need to. We're trying to hit those people as well as the masses as well. So what we want to do is just make sure that everyone puts this into perspective.
Yeah. And
that people aren't thinking that we are an authority on what we're talking about.
Or not an authority. Like, we also have other rabbis that we ask questions to. We also have therapists. We've already had Ariella Perry. We've got a whole big lineup. We've got other educators. We have a question we're going to share in the naked truth, that we're going to talk about somebody else that can help. We're not the be-all and end-all. All we are is the avenue to help. A perfect example is what we're going to talk about today. Right, Danny?
I like that segue.
Yeah, that was very good, dude. All right, so today, Danny's going to tell us what
it's an age-old concept, and goes all the way back actually to the prehistoric proof. There's proof of prehistoric pictures of sexual drawings and paintings, which we're going to talk about pornography. Some of this stuff goes back even to the early 18th century.
Wow.
There are paintings of naked women and all kinds of different stuff. Not necessarily sexual positions, but definitely naked women and people. If they were prostitutes, there are interpretations that there were prostitutes that were being painted, and it was something which was very taboo at the time.
Oh, was taboo?
Yeah.
Okay.
It was done behind closed doors.
Oh, okay.
People weren't ready to advertise that they were doing these things, but only with time, people then took these paintings and they put them on exhibition. And when they did that, oh my God, there was a collective communal grasp.
Yeah.
Or gasp, I would say.
Grasp. Watch what you're grasping there.
It's just cupping, and people really were taken back and thought, we don't want this in our community. No, it is a no. And as we've progressed into the light of the sun, people are starting to make porn more of a
actually embrace porn.
Well, they've embraced porn in an extreme way. The world has embraced porn in a very extreme way because I think we're starting to see porn is the fastest, if not one of the fastest growing industries in the world.
That's crazy.
It is huge money. There is huge money. I mean, we're not going to go into all of the things that porn is like people get into when they're in porn, like drugs and all the other messed up things that are attached to it. But porn, in the fact that having access to watching men and women and women and men and women and women and men and men and all these different kinds of stuff is at people's fingertips now.
Yes.
It's evolved with media, with TV and videos and
internet, obviously.
Exactly. And so we want to be able to address this issue for the bad and for the good, and be able to put it out there and see where this kind of thing can really go. I mean, is it good? Is it bad?
So this is a perfect example of what we were talking about before, okay? According to halakha,
according to Jewish law,
I cannot find anything that says that, yes, go watch porn, go watch people having sex.
Right? So it's not like make porn and go multiply.
No. Now you whacked me, Danny. No, it's not. No, definitely not.
But what we're trying to say
is like this. So halachically, the answer is no. But does that mean that we're going to go into the age-old trap of, okay, if it's according to Jewish law says no, we're going to close our eyes and think no one does it or not talk about it? We have no lines. We're going to talk about it. And those people that have problems with us talking about it, please turn it off now. The point is, even though halakha, the rabbis say no, the rabbis also have to realize people are doing this. We're going to talk about it. We're going to talk about how to try and help you get out of it if you need to get out of it. We're going to talk about the dangers. We're going to talk about the positivity. Like, you know what? This rabbi over here is getting a bit passionate, and he's going to say, go make porn with your husband and wife. Make sure it doesn't go on the cloud, and make sure that you don't copy all the other things. Make sure there's good communication between you and your husband or wife.
Right.
But go and be hectically sexual and out there and creative with your husband or wife. If it turns both of you on to video that, go and do it. There you go. Take my smicha away.
I think porn originally
yes.
was made, for people. I think it was made. It came from Hollywood. That's what I think. I think it came from Hollywood because they were looking for people who were going to watch more films, right? And you had a genre in the 80s, probably in the 70s as well. I'm not sure, but definitely in the 80s of these like soft porn kind of films, like. You had these comedy shows, comedy movies, where you'd see topless women, right? And I can tell you, I myself, obviously, it was like this, immature kind of thing. Oh, let's watch this movie which has like a topless woman, right? So, and though that kind of evolved, once they saw how much
that pulled people,
that pulled viewers, that pulled money, then it started to evolve and it started to go into some serious. Dark places, but
that's really interesting, and that's where you think it comes from. I mean, I definitely feel that it's a pull.
No, like that's not where it comes from. I think that's where it has evolved from. That's why it's gotten so big in the past 30, 40 years.
Yeah, but I'm going to challenge you on that, because let's say the world wasn't ready for that, right? In other words, Hollywood could have made 1 billion films and tried to make $1 million, $1 trillion off it.
They did.
But if the world itself, if society itself was not ready to see those things, then it would have been a flop. No one would have made a cent from it. So I think that it's actually coming from a reverse. And that is that society is opening up more and more and more, starting in the 50s, then 60s, the 70s of the hippies. All of a sudden, everyone was doing things that they weren't doing before. There was always the edge of what people were doing, and that was, the naughty people or whatever. But I think that those boundaries kept being pushed and pushed and pushed and pushed. And I guess, like you're saying, Hollywood saw, okay, the world's ready for this, so we're going to help them push beyond another barrier. So it went from like the picture of some naked lady in Greek mythology with a huge jump whenever that happened, right? Through Hollywood, where you saw the people going into the room to have sex and you only heard the noises, to all of a sudden being topless, to all of a sudden, movies like yes, the first like big pornographic movie, which was all about oral sex, and then all of a sudden we have everything else. And in my mind, it's society's fault because society keeps saying, "Yeah, we'll buy it. Keep making more. Keep showing us more."
Mm-hmm.
And if we would actually stop and have some boundaries and say, you know what, it's actually not acceptable. Maybe if we wanted to, that's up to you. No judgment. But if society wanted to stop this from happening, if society wanted pornographic pictures to stop popping up when you're just trying to watch a movie with your wife,
right,
or when your child's trying to watch some cartoon or something, then we could take a stand and say, you know what, we actually don't want it, and the industry would fall.
Well, I think that could be very compared to what's going on actually in Hollywood as well. I mean, people like seeing Hollywood, they like seeing movies and seeing that what is going on in a movie is they connect to it.
Yeah.
And they think that it's actually real.
Yeah.
But what they don't understand is that what's going on in porn is actually a movie. It's Hollywood. It's actual crap. It's something which is completely not true. There are so many different things that are about pornography that are really, really dangerous, and that can put ideas in people's minds about what they can do. I mean, don't get me wrong. There are some educational tools. I'll be the first one to say it.
Okay.
Right? I've definitely seen some things in porn that I've seen. That's an interesting position.
And learn from it.
Never tried that before. Or at the same time, you'd be like, I'm definitely not ever doing that ever.
Well, my wife would never let me do that. Yeah.
I've never ever. Not even if you pay me $1 million, right? Or you could just look at it and say, well, I think I'm just a little bit too old for that. My body just isn't prepared to do that kind of flexibility.
You're talking about educational things. I remember, growing up, I was probably 15 or 16, and there was this new series that came out, and it was posed as an educational. I never remember like sex in the 90s or something like that.
Okay.
And it was actually posed. It was on television.
Okay.
9:30, 10 o'clock at night.
Yeah.
Right. And I used to run down the hallway and pretend I wasn't watching it and run back to my room or whatever. But it was posed to society as this is educational. We're going to, for those ladies who have never orgasmed, watch now because we'll show you how. And it was full on pornography.
So basically,
but it was posed as education.
So this was on free to air TV.
Free to air TV,
and they were basically they had like a narrator, they had like a host of the show talking about all kinds of different things sexual.
Yeah.
But it was all done in a very mature, maybe even biological kind of terms
like there were
yes.
There was like this biological stance on it and a psychological
and that's what made it okay.
Stance on it, and that's what made it okay. And you saw almost just as much as you may see on a pornographic movie, which proves my point again. If society is willing to watch it, we will. How do you say magdir? We will
classify it.
We will classify it however we want to classify it so that we can watch it.
That's very interesting. I'm trying to take that kind of principle and say, does it work in other places? Like if you wanted to, let's say, I don't know, kill someone. Mm-hmm. And you say, okay, well,
it's an educational,
it's an educational tool. If I stick a knife in this part of the person, will it actually kill them?
Let's try.
I'm not sure.
Don't try.
So I think. Let's try and maybe give a little bit of the benefit of the doubt and say maybe one of the things that pornography can be used for is educational. I mean, I actually know for a fact a friend of mine saw pornography, saw a specific position which he had never done before, and then I don't know what he actually did with it, but he said to me oh, that's interesting. I've never tried that before. Like I said to you before. It wasn't me, and so now I'm still digging that hole out. It's okay. And he learned something about that specific position, and I hope he used that in his private life. Yeah. At the same time, I'm sure there are people who say to themselves, "Hang on a second, this guy is just going and going and going and going and going
you mean
and going
in the pornography? Oh, I thought you meant your friend.
And this woman is making these sounds which I've never heard before. How come she makes those sounds, but my wife or my girlfriend doesn't make those sounds? How come this guy can last so long and he's this long and he has girth? This girth? Why don't?
What does girth mean?
Why don't I have...
Is girth his name? That'd be an awesome porn name. Watch as girth takes on the world.
I think we're talking about size.
Oh, size.
Of man.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
And so, and then people look at that and they say, why don't I last that long?
Yeah.
Why aren't I that big?
Yeah.
Why can't I do X, Y, Z?
So you're really saying beyond the halachic issues, right? There are emotional and psychological issues that can come about through watching porn, that whether you're religious or not, whether you care about halakha or not, you really need to be aware of.
Yeah.
The truth is, when I started bettertogether.com, or bebettertogether.com, which we'll talk about another time, but it's an online store that sells sex toys in a tsanua, in a modest way, with no
actual porn,
with no porn, no nudity, anything like that. So we get a lot of questions through there because we also offer to send people questions to therapists, and a lot of the questions come to the therapist. I've been watching porn and this happens, or they don't even know it's connected to porn, and very often it is related to it.
Right.
You guys may have seen the blog that I put up, the story about my friend, the Khatan, the groom that stayed at us the night before his wedding, and he realized like hours before his wedding, oh my gosh, I've watched pornography and I believe that X, Y, and Z is going to be good for my wife because that's what it was for the actor,
right.
But now I actually have no idea.
No, we're talking about a
but there
guy,
are way for worse things than that. Yeah,
You're talking about a guy who they were probably showing a gear in their relationship.
As far as I know,
they've never touched.
Business. Yeah,
right. Or they haven't had sex.
They definitely didn't have sex.
Okay, there was very, very little sexual experience between them. But they've seen he has seen porn, right?
Awesome.
So that's kind of his major introduction to what sex is, right? Or he probably gets an idea of what sex should be.
What do you mean?
He probably gets an idea of what sex should be.
What he now thinks sex should be. Yeah.
That I think is a really scary moment.
Yeah.
I mean, I remember the night before my wedding, but both of them, they were very intense nights.
Yeah.
They're very self-reflecting, and they're very much about, what's the day going to be like, and sometimes you can get cold feet. You can think about, am I making the right decision, and all of the things that emotionally you have to deal with the night before a wedding. You're also thinking about, hang on a second, I've never had sex before. This is the first. How's it going to go? What am I going to do? I've heard about all these different problems that people have. Whether it's premature ejaculation or whether all these kind of things. Is she going to like it? Is she going to be sore? Is she a virgin? All these things, and then you think about, hang on a second, am I going to be able to perform?
Yeah, like girth,
exactly.
Yeah, and so this is. I want to just put a shout out.
It's a scary moment.
It's a very scary moment, and I'm going to put it out there like this. I teach grooms, okay? I'm going to put it out there to all the groom teachers.
But they keep their pants on.
They keep their pants on. Well, definitely during my lessons. Hopefully they don't later. But the point is like this. I'm going to shout out to all of the groom teachers. I want you to ask your grooms, have you seen pornography? Let's break down these barriers.
Yep.
Talk to them about the misconceptions that have been created about them seeing pornography.
Yeah.
Okay? If you've never seen pornography before, kol hakavod lecha, well done, that's wonderful. That doesn't mean that they haven't. Even growing up in the most religious homes, pornography is everywhere, on cell phones, on billboards, all over the place, right? Ask your grooms, have you seen pornography? If so, let's talk about maybe some of the misconceptions. I'm going to throw some of them out there that we got, through Better Together and through other questions that I've got.
Go for it.
Number one, over 70, we said this with Ariella, over 70% of women do not orgasm, do not climax with just through intercourse. There has to be foreplay and pleasure for her externally, Okay, that's the first misconception that everyone
Right.
looks at pornography and thinks, oh, okay, I can just have sex with her and she's going to absolutely love it.
Right.
The problem is he thinks that, and often she thinks that as well, and she goes, oh my goodness, there's something wrong with me. We got an email, someone was 40 years old, been married for 20-something years, never had an orgasm. She was so worried, but she didn't know that you actually need...
No, that's rough.
Foreplay and oral sex and stuff like that.
Really?
Number one. Number two, men do not last that long. Men do not normally, without taking some medication, last 45 minutes.
Just wiping my brow over here. I was just wondering.
And you're relieved now,
Very,
Danny.
very relieved.
Okay? Ask a therapist, ask anyone, whatever it is. It's like, I don't want to give a number, but like 5 minutes of proper, like, non-stop intercourse, you're doing really well, dude.
Oh my God.
Okay? You're doing really, really well. Especially if your wife turns you on, which she should.
It's actually, I mean, it can get very worrying.
Yeah.
It can get very, even after being married for years, you can still be in a position where if you don't perform as a male, I'm talking about now, or also as a female, it can be very, very worrying to be able to, for your partner. And my concern is that porn has put these things into people's minds. Everything happens
Perfectly.
no mess, no fuss.
Yeah.
You see a guy from across the room and cut to the next scene, and they're in a bedroom, getting it on. It doesn't happen that way. People need to understand that pornography serves a very, 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 very specific purpose. I do know...
That's to make money.
Yes.
That's the purpose.
Exactly. To make money. That's it. I do know of a sex therapist. Haven't been to all the sex therapists in the world, so I can't say there are a sex therapist, but I do know personally of a sex therapist that's used porn as a tool for their for therapy. So
Wow.
he's told a couple that they should watch certain scenes of porn, and obviously do it together in bed when they're.
Is that like you said before? Is it educational or to turn them on?
Both?
Okay.
Both. There are things you can learn in terms of oral sex, like how should I be doing it? Right.
Whatever.
How should I be doing it? Or but I think one of the things that people are mistaken pornography for is that they need to be, instead of getting ideas from porn, you can explore each other together.
Yeah, wow.
You can explore those ideas and be creative together. I think one of the problems that people look to porn as a solution for is that they lack creativity.
Yeah.
And I think if you start getting creative and you break down the barriers of getting self-conscious and getting, I wouldn't say intimidated, but getting, worried or
Yeah, self-conscious.
yeah,
Perfect,
I think if you break down those barriers, you start to realize being creative, there's nothing is wrong. Nothing is bad. Nothing is, obviously everything is consensual.
Yes.
But I think that people need to realize that, you want to, I don't know, you want to bring in Nutella, chocolate spread into the bedroom and
haven't thought of that. Eh?
Have a spoon of Nutella and then kiss. I'm just
whatever it is.
get creative. Use food. Use I don't know.
Dress up.
So
Ariella spoke about dressing up, role play, all that type of
there are
stuff.
these dice that actually I heard of that you can get where basically one of the
buy
dice.
them on BeBetterTogether.com.
Can you?
You definitely can.
So one of the dice basically has body parts.
Uh-huh.
And one of the other dice has an action.
Yep.
Right? So
they even glow in the dark.
Oh, that's actually really good.
Mm-hmm.
That's a great tool.
Mm-hmm.
And then what you do is you roll the dice. One of the body part lands on obviously a body part like a leg or lips, and the action is like touch or lick or rub or whatever it might be, and you make it into a game. Excuse me. I think it can be really creative, and I think porn kind of. People look to porn as that solution of for that lack of creativity.
So I want to throw this out there like this, okay? I think that the problem. Sorry, guys. That was my thinking. That was my thinking.
Yeah, I was definitely thinking. I can honestly tell you nothing else was going on there.
So, pornography as ideas and out there and stuff like that, there are two problems with it, okay? Number one, as we said, they're paid, right? You need to communicate with your husband or wife or your partner or whatever it is that you're willing to do that.
Right.
These people are willing to be, made, I don't even want to, go there, but whatever, do all different things because they're being paid for it,
Different
okay?
positions.
Different
actions.
Spanking and all this type of stuff is because they're being paid, right? That could be the same thing for your husband or wife. It may be awesome for them and you don't need to pay them, right? But there needs to be open communication.
Right.
Something that I also always tell grooms is talk to your wife. And it should, same thing as a wife. Ask your husband, ask your wife, is it good? Do you want more? Do you want to try this? Do you not want to try this? Be open to talking about these things.
We're not saying that it's easy to talk about it.
Yeah.
Because it can be very self-conscious.
Yeah.
And it can be very, I guess, intimidating and embarrassing and scary.
Yeah.
But I think you kind of need to look. This is your partner.
But there's also different ways. We should do a thing on communication. We really should do a podcast on communication. But I spoke to a couple. Doesn't matter
When or
a few weeks ago. Okay, and they're having certain sexual issues, and they just wanted my rabbi advice on it. And she feels very uncomfortable to talk to her husband about it. I said, write him an email.
Interesting.
Write him an email.
Interesting.
See how that goes.
Right.
Suggest the different things.
That's
bring it
interesting.
up. Because if it's on an email, the person has time to sit back, think about it, and not feel the pressure or self-conscious that all of a sudden their husband or their wife is standing there waiting for their response. You can send your husband or wife an email and say, hey, my darling, things have been a little bit, down for us in the sexual area for the past few months. Would you be willing to try the following things with me? And list them and sit back and wait for the email.
Or you could even say, would you be willing to think of creative ways with me that we can make things in the bedroom more interesting?
Yep.
That's a fantastic.
And emails, messages can be very sexy. They can really turn the heat up.
That's what I was about to say. That I know a couple that actually use text messages.
Yeah.
Because it's hard for one of them to verbalize what they're trying to say, and they use text messages.
That's awesome.
That's how they communicate.
Have you ever seen? This is a personal question. I don't need an answer. Have you ever seen porn when they message each other and say, "Hey, darling, do you want to try this?"
No,
exactly.
actually, but that could be a good new genre that we can start.
The other thing.
Imagine how much money we'd make.
We charge for the SMSs as well as watching the porn. I just want to say something like this. Another danger is that certain images stay in our head. Imagery is a very, very, very powerful tool. All right.
Also for males.
Definitely. I mean, I don't know for females, but definitely as males. I can tell you years ago, I think I was 15 years old or something like that. I was becoming religious. Right. I was like full on tzitzit and kippah and Shabbos and all that type of stuff. But my next door neighbor calls me up and says, "Hey, Nate, I found my brother's porn tapes. Do you want to come and watch?" I was over there in a flick, right? No matter how religious I was.
Crack over some beers?
I didn't know. I was too religious to drink beer underage, but I watched pornography. But what I want to say about that is there's a certain image, and I've worked very hard on getting those images out of my head, but there's a certain image that will not go away.
Right.
I was 15 years old.
Right.
I can't get rid of that.
It's kind of like
It's
ingrained
etched
in
my mind.
Yeah.
It's absolutely etched in my mind. Thank God it's never, been there when I've been with my wife or anything like that.
Yeah.
But it's etched in my mind. I can't get rid of it. And I think that those parents that are listening, right? Like we said, groom and bride teachers need to talk to their groom and bride about that as well.
Yeah.
We need to find a time, the right age, the right space to talk to our children about this.
Yeah, no doubt.
To warn them and say, you know what, and I'm not a therapist to be able to say what the right age is or anything like that. we should actually really speak to someone about that and let people know. But at a certain age, to be able to say, my darling, this may pop up on the computer when Ab and Ima aren't home or whatever it is, you know that you can talk to us about it, create an environment, create a space.
Right.
Because those things can be freaky for a kid to see.
What's interesting is that I actually know of a couple of different apps where you can plug them into your internet browser, and then what it does is if you go to certain sites, it will alarm someone else, like it'll send an email to someone else. So some people have actually got their rabbi as the recipient of this email. So
that is an open relationship.
When you go to sex.com, whatever it is, your rabbi gets an email saying, Moshe Hendel has just now logged on to this.
If you are Moshe Hendel, that was a made-up name, by the way.
Yes, it was a complete made-up name. And some people use this to, they have this kind of relationship with their wife that they want to try and cut down or, quit porn. Yeah. And the program sends out an email to their wife saying, your husband is now watching
really
porn.
Awesome.
And I think it's something that people can use also to be able to... there are also like nanny kind of programs on computers, on operating systems, that you can block a lot of those kinds of sites where it doesn't let people, or especially children, get into those kind of areas mistakenly. Yeah. And I think that, actually just the other day, my sister was telling me that she wanted to try and watch a TV show. She told her son, who's like 12 years old, who said, get onto the computer and go to this site. And he went to that site and there are pop-ups.
Yes, yeah.
And this pop-up specifically was porn.
Yeah.
It was like XXX site. Yeah. And he's like,
Does she have a blocking thing and it got through there?
She has a pop-up blocker. Yeah. But some of them get through.
Yeah, that's the problem.
And this was like... And it wasn't even like she was going to porn. She was trying to stream
a
kid's movie.
That's going back to our societal problems. If we turn around and say, stuff you, we don't want this, we're not using your site because I'm trying to find a nice movie for my children or for my husband or wife and I get something, X-rated in front of my face, don't use the site. Like, let's make a stand here. Yeah. If anyone has any ideas out there, what do you
use?
What do you use to stop those things from popping up? Number one. Number two, if you have any ideas or connections of people who are helping people get beyond porn, any ideas if you've been addicted to it, and like we say, everyone must make their own decisions. We're here just to discuss it, bring it up, talk about it. There is a site, I can't remember it off by heart, but there is a site, a religious site, that they have this whole accountability program that you get like a big brother, the same type of thing, like if someone was an alcoholic or any addiction, and you speak to them. If you want to know it, email us, boysclub@gmail.com, and I will try and search my email because they approached me to put it on a website that I own. And I'd be happy to put you in touch with it.
Great. Yep. So, let's crack open the naked truth. Let's crack open the naked truth. It's the first segment. Really excited for this because it was
give it what is the naked truth.
Okay, so the naked truth is a new segment that we're starting. Basically, we're taking the top questions from the questions that we've received up until now, and we'll be going from week by week.
That people put in the subject line, the naked truth. They're the ones that we have your permission to share.
Yeah, right? Or they've asked us a question and we've actually responded and asked them if they mind that we share that question. And this is the segment that we're going to be sharing it on. Obviously, it's all going to be anonymous, and we are, if anything that we say is similar to something that you've been through, it's completely unintentional. So, let's start from the first question. Hey, Boys Club, I'm in the older religious dating bracket, and my boyfriend and I are getting very close physically, and we're going to have sex. My boyfriend...
Jump! We're getting close physically. Oh, we're going to have sex.
Yeah.
Okay.
My boyfriend wants me to go to mikvah, the ritual bath, I guess, if we want to translate that. But I'm feeling a little uncomfortable with it since I am not married. Oh, I just spelled married wrong. Should... talking about pet peeves. Should I go? Well,
should I go?
The question is, should I go? I'm going to handball this
Pardon me?
question
Handball willy-nilly.
straight to the rabbi, actually.
Thanks, Danny. All right, so I'm going to try and answer this on, we have answered this person in a much longer email, and thank you for giving us permission to share this. I'm not going to share the whole answer. It goes like this. According to halakha, according to Jewish law, having sex with a woman, married or not married, who has not been to the mikveh after her period, after nida, it's the same problem. You are chayav karet. It's actually on the man. It's the issue.
It's not
for the
allowed.
man. It's not allowed, whether you're married or not married. That is what halacha says. Now, there is a new kind of movement in some places in America where, because of this reason, there are rabbis opening up the mikvahs, the ritual baths, to people like this person who wrote in.
Single women
who
are going to have sex.
who say this.
So what you're saying, basically, so just to clarify some of the for the listeners, if a woman who's single and it has her period and waits the allotted time and then goes to the mikvah and then has sex,
yes,
that man then will not be punished.
Not for being with a woman who's in nida.
Right.
No.
Okay.
I'm not saying that that's the right thing to do. I'll tell you what my feeling is, but it's important to say that there are certain communities in America, I think it is, I haven't heard of it in Israel much, the rabbis are opening the mikvahs for this specific reason, because the person is saying, I'm going to have sex, there's no, rabbi, I'm going to have sex, so you're going to save me from the one punishment or not, all right?
Right?
My opinion is like this. Sexuality is probably the strongest pull that anybody has in their life.
Yeah.
All right? It is very, very powerful. People do crazy things against all of our ideology because of it. All right? We cannot deny that. But as human beings, we are here to choose. As human beings, we are given the power of bechira chofshi, of free choice. If your partner is saying, I need to be with you, otherwise this is over, then I personally, I don't want to be responsible for any breakups, but I would ask, well then, why are you with me? Are you with me because of the sexual pleasure that you want me to give you?
Right.
Or are you with me because you're committed until I'm willing to marry you and have sex with you in the way that I, spiritually and physically and emotionally want to have? That's not judging anyone that is going to the mikvah as an unmarried person, or even having sex as not going to the mikvah. Whatever it is your thing. That's my opinion on it. Communication, love, and respect.
Okay. I would agree with a lot of that.
Can I ask you the next question now?
Sure.
Oh, you want to?
No, I was just going to say that I would agree with a lot of what you said, and I would talk about it very, very clearly with your partner, boyfriend, girlfriend, whatever it might be. And I think that if it's something that you feel pressured by, then I think that's even more of the issue rather than going to the mikvah or not. But I as a person who is someone that waited to have sex until they were married, I would suggest that you do that. It's a very, very, very special action. It's something that you can't get back. You can't, there's never a second first time. There's always a first time. And I would try as much as possible to try and wait and keep that sentiment as a very special experience.
But like we said in the very beginning, there's obviously people who are not doing that, and all respect to you guys.
Right.
Like, it's as long as there's communication and honest decisions.
Exactly.
We've told you what the halacha is, Anyway, all right, moving right along.
Next question.
All right. We're going for this one.
This one.
That one.
Yeah.
How do you choose your topics? Can I suggest an episode on sexual abuse?
Interesting.
Danny, this one's yours, dude.
Well, how do we choose our topics? We discuss a few different things to get to the topics that we want to choose to record about. One, we talk about what are the issues in today's society, in the religious, let's say, today's world that we want to try and tackle, which people aren't really putting out in the open.
That's probably the number one
Way that we get.
Yeah. You know.
And we do want to try and affect as many people as possible. So we do try to make not necessarily what's the most outrageous thing, but also one of the things we take into consideration is what are the things that a lot of people are dealing with, are having to confront in today's day and age, that we can try and give some sort of shed some light or shed some experience or shed any kind of tips or support that we've experienced ourselves. And can I suggest an episode on sexual abuse? Of course you can suggest an episode of sexual abuse. We're always open to suggestions of things that you want to, of episodes that you want us to do. I've had suggestions of people who want to rip apart shadchanim and shadchaniyot and why people who people who don't enjoy think that matchmakers are the cause of a lot of the dating problems that Israel is going through, and we are not prepared to take that kind of stance because we're not here to try and rip anyone apart, and we don't necessarily believe that that's the case.
We've also got emails asking, which we haven't gotten around to, is older dating. You know, like people who are divorced and now in their 40s and 50s and want to know about dating. Okay. Some of the stuff we spoke about, sex now, also relates to that. Yeah.
So we're always open to hearing suggestions about different topics that you guys out there want to hear.
I just want to say, if this person, we obviously need to write back to them right now. I didn't write back to them. If you are going through a sexual abuse problem, please make sure to get in touch with the correct people in your community as soon as possible. If you don't know who those correct people are, email us, let us know where you are, and we are happy to try and help you get to the right people, because nobody should be in an abusive relationship, and we're here to help, to put you in touch with the right people.
I think we will do an episode about sexual abuse. We're just trying to make sure that we do it in the right framework. So I think we're going to get someone in professional to do that.
Definitely.
Okay, last question. Married and have 2 kids.
Mazel tov.
My second I had 6 months ago. I'm having some body image issues causing a lack of sex drive. Okay, so this is obviously
from the woman.
Okay, all right. Yeah, that makes sense. But my husband, there you go. That clarifies it. But my husband has lost patience and just wants me to be back to normal. What should I tell him? Okay, so this is a woman who has gone through another childbirth. Her body is kind of, I guess, out of whack. Or her body's changed. I'm not going to say out of whack. I'm going to say her body's changed. I've got to say, there are a lot of women who are a lot more beautiful after they've actually given birth than before.
Okay.
Because me personally, there is such a thing as too thin. There is such a thing as like a woman not having, some. I'm not going to say girth. There is something as not voluptuous. Just having some meat.
Love handles.
No, but
all right, moving right along.
And so this woman obviously is having some pressure from her husband to, I guess, fix her sex drive, or thinks that her sex drive can be fixed that quickly.
But hold on, you actually mentioned 2 things that need to be clarified. There's a body image.
Yep.
Right? In other words, maybe she feels she needs to lose some weight or whatever it is. But then there's also a biological thing, which is the sex drive.
I connected them straight away. Okay.
They can be very different. Someone can have a high sex drive and still feel a body image issue, or have no body image issue, lose weight really quickly, whatever it is, but her libido her sex drive is not back, and that's very, very normal, especially during breastfeeding. I mean, I'm not a mumche, I'm not a...
You're saying it's hormonal. Okay.
Yeah. So my advice would be like this. Do you mind if I throw it out there?
Go for it.
All right. So my advice would be like this. Communication with your husband. Your husband needs to have patience. Your husband needs to maybe speak to somebody about his sexual drive and what to do with it, because he needs to be patient with you. If it goes on for too long, and I don't know enough to say what too long is.
Right.
I mean, Baruch Hashem, we've been blessed with 4 children, and after each one, there's different times until my wife is back and ready to be sexual again. Speak to your gynecologist. Speak to your mother. Your sister, whatever. See what a norm is. if it drags on, there are definitely natural hormones that can help you get back to it. There's also non-natural things that you need to obviously speak to a doctor about.
Right.
But the point is like this: everything has its time, and sometimes you will never ever go back to what you were before, and your husband and you need to embrace that and go, whoa, this is a new vibe that we've got.
Right.
Your husband is going to have to find a way to turn you on and to make you feel special,
Right.
and you're going to have to find a way to do the same thing for him in a totally different parameter. We got 2
Right.
kids over here.
Right.
As they keep coming, things will continue to change.
Thank God they have 2 kids and they're getting somewhere. But even more so, it's also I reckon we have to give some sort of kudos to the husband
Yeah.
for bringing up this issue, even 6 months after they've had this kid. So it's kudos to the husband for also coming up and stepping up to the plate and being courageous and having the brave guts, I guess, to be able to say, look, this is becoming an issue for me.
Yeah.
So that's what we would suggest. Thanks for listening. We hope you enjoyed the new segment, and we'd love some feedback about it. And I guess we'll be hearing you next week.
Yeah, if you know anyone that isn't listening to Boys Club, send it on to them. Just press share, press like. Let them know what we're doing.
Yeah, and the best way that we can reach as many people as possible is if you guys out there also share our podcast.
Exactly.
So we'd love to be able to get that help from you. Otherwise, hope you've enjoyed the episode.
And bye.
Cheers.